All right, everybody, welcome. This is a quick video on Lab 8. It's going to be covering linked lists. So I've been told that you've gone over linked lists pretty extensively in class, so I won't be going over the specifics. However, the PDF is a long one, but it includes a bunch of these kind of helpful diagrams for you to visualize the kind of changes you should be doing on the linked lists as you go through the lab. If you're struggling with kind of how to manipulate your linked list in the lab, I would recommend that you maybe get a piece of paper, pencil, write down kind of these similar diagrams and really try to visualize the different connections that you want to make while you code. As far as the code, similar to last lab, it's very well commented, and your task is, again, similar to last lab, you're going to be filling out a bunch of these kind of utility methods throughout this high score list class. It's extremely well commented. However, I will go over a couple things, and you could also find these things out by going through the classes that are provided to you. You're going to be working with the node class a whole lot, specifically these getNext and setNext methods. These are where you're actually going to be using to kind of draw these arrows. If you're imagining like moving the arrows or drawing them between these nodes, you'll be using the setNext and getNext methods. So for example, looking at the code, if I'm on line 33, it says move CURR to the next node in here. We see cur is the current head. If I'm moving cur to the next node, so I'm setting cur equal to the current node's next node, I would want to do something like this, where I set cur equal to cur dot get next. And we see that autofills. This is essentially moving cur to the next node. So you see how I use the dot get next method to get the value of the next node, and I'm overwriting the current node with that next node. So you can use this kind of thing to move down the chain of your linked list, and you'll be using that in a lot of places throughout the code. Another thing, so if we want to set the value of a node, so this is going to be when you're inserting, like in the add method. So if the list is empty, then we want our new node to be the head. It's a little bit backwards, actually. The comments should be we want our head to be the new node. So we see we have the head node up here. This is equivalent of saying head is equal to null. So this is set to null to begin with. So if I want to set the value of head, or I guess assume, I'll backtrack a little bit because setting the head would just be equivalent to equals, just like we did here. So let's assume that I actually already have a head node and I want to set a node to be directly after head. I'll do that here. You're going to be doing that somewhere in this part of your code, but I'll put it here just for example. So shouldn't actually go here. So if I want to set the value of head next, so this is, again, I'm drawing this arrow, or I guess I would be drawing this arrow over here from this first node to the next node. So I would say head dot set next, and then we see this takes an argument n, and I would put a node here. So I guess I'll just put node there. So this would be taking this new node and inserting it directly after head. Now, keep in mind that as soon as you set the next value of head, you're losing access to the node that used to be head next. So if head.getNext was not equal to null, so if there was a node here, if head had a next node, then I would lose access to that node as soon as I set it. So if I was looking to insert this node between the head and the current head.next. So let's see, I'm sure there's a diagram in here about that. But if I was looking to insert that node between the head and the next, I would first, before I set head next equal to that new node, I would want to set node dot set next equal to the current head dot get next. So this is what you should be doing if you want to insert a node. And now I'm sure you've gone over this in class, but I implore you to look at this, think about it, understand it. You'll be using it a lot. You'll have to consider these things throughout this program, where if you are setting the node's next value, you're going to lose access to whatever's there first. So make sure, if you need that, if there is something there, make sure you're storing that somewhere before you overwrite it. Like I said, everything's pretty well commented. I implore you to go over the code, because it's kind of like half made, half not made. It's usually pretty tough to try to figure out what somebody else's code is doing and trying to modify it. So I encourage you, the first thing you do, look through the code, understand what it's asking you to do, understand kind of what problems you'll need to solve at each step before you actually start coding. You'll only be working in this head file. So you could look at the other files. You can get away with not, though. I would recommend looking at least at node and potentially score, but a lot of this stuff is handled in this main method. So this main method is going to be testing out your whole linked list. It generates a console program where you have to enter some values, and you'll be able to put in some test values there. It shows a full run of the tests at the bottom of the PDF, so you can test it out with that. But as I was saying, read through the code, make sure you kind of understand it, and definitely understand the concept of these two lines specifically. I think are very important, and understanding why it would have to be in this order, what it's doing, and how you can use that later in the program. All right, guys, that's it. Good luck.